you. I feel like he actually dropped off from that level of aggression throughout the course of this season, playing a little bit more reserved perhaps, and I don't really know if it suits him. I feel like that aggressive style is a big part of what makes Nosfa Nosfa, so let's see if that's something that could harm him over the course of this series. We do have the picks and bans on screen now as well.
Yeah, and nothing too unusual there. I guess the biggest thing I would point out is well, I was going to say I actually somehow got them flipped around. I was going to Nosfa pick Slash, but I got completely wrong. So ignore me and someone else can take over.
Well, you never made it as a pro or an analyst, Dan.
But it's... moving on. We're looking at these two different crouch sliders, though. It's interesting for Molten Falls because we are so used to seeing kind of one champion having this kind of ruling the mobility with an iron fist kind of shindig on Molten Falls. There's normally one champion that's kind of just like leaps and bounds far superior, and then it kind of just gives that person naturally the edge when it comes to getting to items and getting all the important stuff, getting in a rail position, whatever it might be. And we see that a lot from Dramis, actually. He loves picking crouch sliders on this map, and he has done the same thing. But now it's going to be a battle of two crouch sliders for map 1, which means that kind of having that distinct edge is just naturally going to be a little bit different. The difference, though, is that Dramis, I will always kind of favor him quite heavily on this map with this kind of champion pick because we see it so many times. There has to be a clear level of comfort here.
There does need to be. There definitely does. And I think really, Tan, getting into this, obviously, we're going to be covering this next upcoming series. We're back into the market of the best of threes as well. For Dramis, he's had slow and steady climb. Across the board, I think all of us have been saying how it looks like he's been getting better and better each week we see him. He's the known quantity. I'd say for Nosfa, he's the one that needs to impress us tonight, and we're almost ready to get underway. So can Nosfa really impress?
I think he can. He definitely seems to play slightly better in the bigger occasion, maybe someone that favors the limelight. And yes, as much as Dramis has steadily improved, I think he did plateau in Season 3 relative to, as we expected, going into Poland and everything before then, where he was definitely going better week on week. I think he's got and maybe found his current level, but that current level for me is definitely high enough to take this 2-1.
Fight.
Here we go then. Back into the action now as we kick it off on Molten Falls to start. Let's see who's going to be molten hot straight off the press. Dramis roaming around, railgun out. He absolutely loves a bit of railing. So let's see if he can land some of those disgusting shots.
Yeah, and it's a common opinion, maybe not everyone agrees with it, that Dramis might have the best slash movement in the world. So that is something to contend with when you have players such as Tox out there. And if he can really find his groove, his aim is also pretty spectacular as well. So that's one thing that Nosfa's going to find very difficult to live with, is the pace that Dramis can bring. And he's already run straight into the slash, and that is the easiest first frag you will ever see in Quake.
Yep, straight Mary Poppins him. He's gone up in the air, just floating up like he's got his umbrella out. Not a great start for Nosfa, but fantastic for Dramis. He's quick on his feet and he never misses a beat when it comes to the lightning gun, and he's already starting to show that. Smooth moves, he glides around the map as well. It's his understanding of the mechanics and just his know-all of the map geometry as well that makes him so damn sick to watch on this quick lady. As he charges back in, that was very clean with a rocket down.
Yeah, that's just the power of the speed, right? That Dramis just caught Nosfa entirely off guard and hit 2 free rockets and came away with another relatively easy frag. Picked up the heavy as well, and Nosfa's very out of position. And this doesn't look good for the South American, who definitely needs to regroup and reassess how he's approaching this game, because at the moment, he's just running into Dramis, and Dramis is not relenting with his aim.
Oh man, he's just gunning for this victory.
Oh my word.
Like we were saying, how Nosfa's normally the aggressive one, right? Who tries to play it like a barbarian, just absolutely take every fight going. Instead, that's Dramis right now. He's just swinging and hitting Nosfa over the head, just bonking him with this rail.
Yeah, I think Dramis overall has a pretty balanced playstyle. He is very aggressive, as we're seeing here, but at the same time, he knows how to slow it down. And Nosfa needs to slow it down, because it's 5-0 2 minutes in. And it's not only 5-0, Dramis has the cleanest stack. He's fully loaded, hitting shot after shot. Nosfa needs to find a rather new angle at this point in time.
Every rail just pierces a hole clean through him, even up close and personal. He was gunning to try and get another rail shot off. Instead, switches out to the rocket, has full confidence to blow him to bits, and Dramis is now 6-0 up. We're only 3 minutes into the game as well. I mean, not even that. Dramis is on a roll.
Yeah, this isn't good. I mean, this is a winning scoreline already.
Hungry for more, he will finally suffer his first loss as he'll go down to Nosfa eventually. Nosfa's on the strong, but he's not going to get a chance to do anything.
Oh,
He's
no,
been,
he didn't even get the pickup.
yeah, just instantly gunned down. Dramis straight back out the gate and living it large.
Look how fast Dramis can play on this map. Incredible. And like, yeah, I mean, there's no way Nosfa would have expected someone to be there as quick as Dramis was off the spawn.
Ooh, nice adjustment. With the flip coming around, the rocket's even more smooth though, and Nosfa actually comes out incredibly close towards Death's door. Gets tagged up by Dramis at every opportunity there. He's rapid on the reposition, so he'll breeze his way back over towards Mega and suck it all up. Now he just holds, playing a little bit slower as well. Actually, no, he's not. He's going straight back towards Rail Room. He wants to live in the chaos, and the pain train pulls into the station. Blows him straight out of action.
Yeah, I mean, Nosfa's struggling a lot with the speed of Dramis at the moment. I mean, for me, the solution is he just needs to try and play in the choke points. He can't be showing himself out in the open because as soon as he is, Dramis is in his face and Nosfa's not hitting the shots in return. So definitely needs to work on his positioning, try and get to the high ground, play in the choke points and use the audio keys better because at the moment it's just too easy for Dramis.
Ooh. Alright, finally, it looks like we're back on the schoolyard and they're beginning to trade their Pokemon cards. Dan, bit of trading occurs and leaves us at an 8-1. Dramis literally cheating death for a minute there before he finally died. Don't know how he's been able to sustain his way through that one.
Also got stuck on the pillar, I think, which was never ideal, but finally Nosfa's able to get himself decently onto the board. Misses out on the Mega. Wants to chase and do more damage.
5-minute warning.
He has no idea. So step one, get timing back.
Nosfa gonna have to try and tiptoe his way around this plasma trail. Knows he can't push and he's stuck up in the air. You come off the bounce pad, it leaves you dangling for so long. You're so susceptible to these attacks. And of course for Dramis right now, he's living his movie. He's just playing with ferocity and he's causing atrocities off the back of it. The level of aggression is unrivaled and the fact he can just blow you to smithereens with a rocket launcher is always going to leave a smile on his face.
Yeah, and even though Nosfa didn't die from the missed time on Mega, you can see how important it is because he was then slightly late for the heavy, out of position for the heavy, and Dramis was already there to punish him. So it seems like such a null thing when it happens, but in the grander schemes of the map, you can see how important it is to always be on your game and know your timing's perfect.
6 frags between them both. Normally, if you have that deficit, you would assume it would be quite late into the game, but there's actually still 4 minutes to play with, so tons of time left. It just depends if Nosfa can start to try and tackle his opponent, as he actually gets him fairly low. Again, knocking Dramis down to like 10, 15 stack. Starts to actually get a bit of major items to play with as well. He's picked himself up the heavy, and Dramis is waiting for the oncoming onslaught. He survives it by tanking his way through it, getting the Mega, and nearly got the frag as well. It actually seemed like juggling him with a rocket was going to net him that kill.
Yeah, the problem is, though, Nosfa is slightly low, and the other problem that Nosfa faces is he needs to take risks. I mean, he's only 5 frags down, but he's also lost a lot of time, and so 3 minutes to go. If he wants to try to track down Dramis, considering how fast Dramis is, he's going to have to take more risks. And that leaves him vulnerable.
Nosfa going in for the Pika punishment, but he won't be appeased by what he was able to do. That one. Oh no. Comes up the bounce pad, gets tagged once again, and both of them are quite low. Still 5 frags to get this game back, and there's a ton of time as well. It's only been about a minute and he's still trying to do something. He can't get over the ledge to actually get the shots off, realizes he's so low, and as soon as Dramis gets the opportunity, he will slingshot himself up and hit him with a signature move with the shotgun.
I think that's all she wrote now, because without map control, it's going to take him another minute or so to even get back into the game. Unless Dramis makes a huge mistake, which he hasn't done so far. Dramis just wants to keep the pressure on. 7 frags now. That is definitely a game over for Nosfa. And it kind of just spiraled out of control far too quickly. I mean, before we even blinked, he was 5-0 down. Look at the speed Dramis can play at.
Yeah, this is Dramis just back on his madness, having a field day with it, doing whatever he wants, and drops the finger, and there's the frag. My goodness, Dramis really just living the high life for the minute. Will finally fall, but I don't think it matters at this point. 14-6, that one's not really achievable.
No, Nosfa needs to regroup, because he wanted to go toe-to-toe with Dramis, and it really didn't work. And to be honest, it just wasn't the plan B, when there really should have been a plan B after potentially 2 frags, maybe 3. So as soon as it's not working, you need to reassess how you're approaching the game, and Nosfa didn't do that. I mean, that's no disrespect or taking anything away from the way Dramis is playing, because he was keeping the pace up and he was forcing the issue. But at the same time, I just felt that Nosfa made it too easy for Dramis.
Oh, look at him go, dude. He's essentially just playing a bit of insta-gib. He's warming himself up into this game, Dan. Just playing with the speed. Like you were saying, how some people do tout him as having the best slash in the business. And honestly, I really do agree for the most part. It's just downright disgusting, some of the things that he does. Look at how smooth he is on the transitions. He's basically just making art.
It just reflects how powerful speed is in Duel, and how a champion like this is, well, why she is so sought after, and if you can play her effectively, how dangerous she is for you. And it's not an easy skill, which is why only a few have really mastered that. But at the same time, what can you do when it's played like this?
I don't know. There's not really much of a way to combat it. Just the sheer momentum alone, and the way Dramis has been so precise. I mean, even if we just think about some of the opportunities, right, where he was putting down Plasma Trail, but he was still dodging in midair whilst trying to cover as much ground with the Plasma Trail as possible. It's like, when you're that good at the movement, that's when you know it's just like, all right, this is just going to be an absolute struggle.
And that's why I think the way Cypher strategized and went up against Tox last series, picking Nikhil, really slowing the pace down, playing super positional, defensive and strategical. He lost, but Tox would normally steamroll people with that champion. So that's the kind of angle and a clear, viable strategy that you need to take. And Nosfa decided to go toe-to-toe and just did not work.
No. In the end, that brawl definitely goes in favor of Dramis. I mean, as you can see just throughout the matter of these highlights, he was so precise, so aggressive, but just hitting everything. The movement alone, look at that. Like, the tracing for Nosfa normally is fantastic, yes. But when your opponent is that quick, it's so hard to be able to get those shots off.
Yeah, exactly. It makes your life so difficult. They're always in position faster than you. They're skirting around you, making your aim off as well. So this is why you have to play slower, because they're the ones that are dictating the tempo. You need to try and mitigate that by slowing it. And it's just a glory to watch when they're playing well.
It really is. And I suppose really the bigger question is now, is there anything that can switch things up going forward into the series? As moving on, it will be Blood Covenant off the back of this one, Dan. That's the next map in the series, and it's Visor versus Galena.
Yeah, the silver lining is obviously Slash is no longer on the table, and it is a much more standard matchup in terms of speed and stat. It's even. So that's the big defining factor. Like, at the end of the day, Nosfa still has great aim and still can match up, and without the speed there, he'll be standing a better chance. But if Dramis is just dictating the map and managing control, Nosfa needs to find a plan B, which is what he didn't do today, or in that map so far. So we'll have to see how he starts. I think Nosfa needs a good start, but if he doesn't, he definitely needs to reflect and change his approach.
Yeah, there has to be something that changes going forward. Hopefully Blood Covenant is a better battlefield for him in that sense. At least, obviously, as you're saying, the movement really isn't going to be there. Visor versus Galena, it's a lot more grounded. You know, there's no rollerblades, none of those shenanigans. It's all just boots on the ground, slower style of play coming out from the both of them. But hopefully that at least reels back into just the gun skill, which both of them do excel out. I must say, though, at least from what we've seen from Dramis here, he's living up to that level that we've kind of hyped up a lot, because he was hitting some disgustingly good rails. Even with the level of movement he had to play with and the speed, he was hitting so many shots that you're like, well, this is worrying.
Yeah, and I think his aim's always been pretty strong, but it does look like he's found a new level, at least in the previous match. And look at those stats, like over 40 above everything. It made Nosfa's life a misery. I mean, at the same time, Nosfa was jumping into a lot of it, but Dramis was forging those situations to make it easy for himself.
Yeah, he was just being able to open up so many situations and bloated that scoreline from a start. We don't see them too often on Molten, but he was proven that they certainly can happen. Now then, Blood Covenant is one of these maps that everyone needs to have down. It is in every Quake player's pool. But who will be the lifeguard, Dan, and who will be drowning in this one?
We'll see. Sink or swim for the Brazilian, I think.
Oh, obviously best of 3 as well, right? So
exactly.
It really is sink or swim. This is his last chance, potentially.
One fight.
Most definitely. At least it's not a relegation game. He managed to secure himself that. He's already under pressure already. We've seen 2 ring outs already today on this map. It's more than I think we've seen all season.
I think it actually is. It is absolutely bizarre how many ring outs we tend to get, especially when we come into finals. And going 1-0 up is a great start for Dramis. He's taken a lot of damage though, and he's low to the ground, basically running around at sewer level, gathering whatever he can as he starts to get those smaller bubbles to rebuild himself. Nosfa's quick on the move, and he's claimed that heavy. This actually could be a bit of a scrap over control of the Mega.
Yeah, Nosfa's in a good position, but he's been blocked. Oh,
that was smart.
I've not seen that. I mean, it is unusual. I don't think Nosfa got a rail. He's obviously taking a very risky route if he hasn't. Nice repositioning from Dramis to take away the light, but also to block that exit to the rail as well. Oh, he has got a rail. There we go. I was going to say, if you haven't got a rail, that type of aggression is obviously almost bordering on stupidity.
I still can't believe we're just consistently getting these ring outs. Only here, only on this map, but
only on this broadcast. Me and you.
That's what we love. That's what we do best.
We're the instigators.
They need to invest into like an escape rope. To be fair, that is just straight Athena, I suppose. It's unfortunate.
Well, if you fall off, you can just grab it like a lifeline.
Yeah. Chuck it back up, bail yourself out.
Ring a friend.
Or 50, ask crowd, ring a friend, or life rope. Those are your 3 options when you get ring outed in Quake Champions. Coming in next patch. Right now, though, Nosfa, he needs to patch up his defense, as Dramis is already 2-0 up, Dan. This is just looking like what we saw on Molten, but this time, if he takes it, that's it. It's the end of the story.
Yeah, and you're completely right. At the moment, Nosfa does look a little bit lost. But that's not a bad shout from what situation he was in, and he had a rail as well, which I don't think I don't think Dramis really expected, peeking over the edge there with only 70 health to his name. And Nosfa's back on the board.
Ooh. I mean, Dramis is getting up close and personal. He had Big Papa Pump on display, but the shotgun isn't going to be sending Nosfa to bed today. Instead, he falls short. Game goes 2-2 so far here on Blood. It's a little bit more tied up 3 minutes in. The rails are getting a bit better as well. Nosfa bouncing around like a lunatic and slamming shots clean into the chest of Dramis. The rapid reactions are starting to look a whole lot better as well. Nice transition to the rocket, fires off the warning shot, drop to Totem as he secures himself a Mega, and he's again on the hunt with a bigger stack.
Yeah, I always find that Nosfa plays his best when his rail is on. So good to see him using that effectively, and rather than just running at his opponent, using it to whittle down that stack and create openings. That's definitely the route he needs to be taking. And when he's on the defense, he's just playing the range game. I don't think he can afford to get up into Dramis' face. That's not been working for him.
Totem's going down left, right and centre to barely keep him alive and trucking into this one. Not really using them aggressively, just more as a sustainability aspect. Dramis, talking of sustainability, he's looking fragile, like a plasterboard wall, Dan. If you punch him, it'll break.
Yeah, but Dramis is doing what Nosfa hadn't been able to do on the previous map, which is just playing this ranged defensive game. Yes, it's not entirely being effective so far, but at least he's managed to keep the scoreline lower than Nosfa had.
I mean, it's not bloating for either one of them at least, so it could give us a bit more of a competitive duel across the board. They're really trying to brawl as well. They get up close and personal. They could have gone blow for blow with fists. Instead, it's all down to the weaponry, and Dramis falls short on that side of things, leaving Nosfa in the lead with 2 picks now, hoping to make it a third as well. Swings wide with the rail, gut shot comes out, impacts onto Dramis, and he's just spamming back with rockets of his own.
And this is much better from Nosfa. Looks far more comfortable on this map than he does in Molten. We can see that by just the way he's positioning around the map. And that even though he's not in control, he's not now committing. You can see him backing off, playing the rail game. It's exactly what we wanted to see from Nosfa coming off the back of last loss.
Nosfa scraping and scrounging, just trying to suck up all of those hourglasses to rebuild his totems back up and allow them to be used. He is leading, so essentially Dramis is the one that needs to try and take the initiative into the fights, which he does. Launches himself out, cascading across the screen and getting impacted by that rail. Keeps him at bay. LG going to slaughter him as well as Nosfa traces him perfectly. This is worrying, Dan. Nosfa's really building himself a buffer.
Yeah, now he's essentially allowing Dramis to take the risks. He's positioning such where he's baiting Dramis in, allowing the opportunities and just capitalizing upon them. So I'm really enjoying what I'm seeing here. It's Dramis that now needs to find a new way back into this game, but as we just said, the scoreline isn't too big so far. So that's one positive, and he has picked up both, well, at least the last major item, should I say. So he has got a good lifeline and a good foothold there, and now with that Mega, he has something to work with. Obviously, he has that piercing sight up very soon, and so that will be his next big opportunity to try and make a move.
Looking to making a move. Dramis certainly moving relatively fast. It might not be on Slash, but he's still moving like he is. It's the fastest visor you've ever seen. He's trying to make this one a pretty sight as well as he gets aggressive, zapping his way through Nosfa and leaving him with not much life force left in him. Low on stack, Dan, and trying to build his confidence back up.
Yeah, low on stack but still alive, and Nosfa's done a good job there to work a perfect opportunity on the Mega and get the frag. This is the Nosfa we know.
That is a huge turn of events to get him back in. This game could very well be going to a third map if it carries on like this. Nosfa seems like the sleeping giant that's within him has definitely awoken.
100%. Just needed that one map to settle down. This is definitely the Nosfa we know and love. When he's on form like this, he's difficult to beat because his aim is so solid. And then when you have his strong defensive positioning as well, like he hasn't committed for really any major items. He's just managed the high ground extremely well and let Dramis run the map and caught him at all these kind of pathing and choke points.
I think that is what comes into it. just the fact is it's combat skill, and when he is hitting shots, he's a lot more confident. The quick switch on the weaponry is giving him a lot more of a tactical edge as well. Will be halted in mid-air. If the HMG had had a few seconds quicker on it, it definitely would have been able to punish Dramis. Weapon prioritization. So many minutes here where there could have been a whole different storyline if Nosfa was able to get these shots off just a second earlier. Instead, he has to retreat. Dramis knows the game is teetering on a knife's edge. He just has to shake up the balance, but that likelihood is getting lesser and lesser every time he loses out on one of these encounters. The tox click for Nosfa, and he gets blown up by a rocket.
There is only 3 frags left, and this is a map where you can string those spawn frags back to back. Dramis with the piercing sight as well will quickly realize where his opponent is, has plenty of time to get back and get both major items before he makes his next assault. Needs to hit his shots. Missing 2, missing 3. That's painful. Oh. Look at the balls coming out from Nosfa to kill his opponent from range. Execution was obviously not the best from Dramis, and so Nosfa just played off that. And that will be it, really.
Killer at times.
Much better performance from the Brazilian.
Oh yeah. It definitely is. Like, if you take first map into consideration to what we're seeing now from Nosfa, it's a whole lot more like his actual self that we wanted to see throughout the course of the weeklies, and he's looking for an 8th to try and round this one out as well. Here comes the super shotgun to try and send him slumbering, but instead it'll be the rocket to take down Dramis. So Nosfa wins that one out. Should be taking the map as well. Just last 20 seconds here until we move on to a third and final, the decider between the both of them.
Yeah. What can you say? That was a completely different player than we saw in map 1. But that just epitomizes who Nosfa is. Like, swings around about highs and lows. You never know what you're going to get with Nosfa. And he went from looking like somebody who you would question how he got into the Pro League to someone who should be at, very high up in the Pro League. So it's just, I hope he can continue the latter form rather than the former.
Exactly. He just needs to try and actually maintain this. And we know it's certainly a level that he can hit as well. Obviously, the one aspect to Dramis' game that was such a big impact factor on Molten was completely taken away from him. He didn't have the additional movement speed, didn't have that killer instinct as much on Visor, even though he was trying to play really aggressively with it. Once Nosfa started to win out all the firefights, he just didn't have an edge.
No, 100%. But the big difference is obviously no access to the flash. We said that the matchup of champions itself would make the matchup far more even, and we could see how much more comfort Nosfa was in general, due to the fact that there wasn't that speed coming out from Dramis. Dramis was forced into playing a more standard duel, and so that definitely evened the playing field a significant amount. You just have to admire, like, as I pointed out, I think the rail was so key for Nosfa, and he was definitely utilising that much more effectively. On Molten, might be his comfort on the map, but he definitely wanted to engage in the close combat fights more, and Dramis was forcing him to be fair with his speed. So being able to back off and retreat into railable positions and playing the range game was a more effective tactic. I mean, Nosfa didn't really compete for major items if they weren't safe.
No, he didn't. He was playing a very safe game, keeping it close to his chests and basically just winning out purely off the back of his aim going into that one. His combat skills were truly on display. He's got big guns outside the server, so I'm not surprised he was favouring those big guns in-game, Dan. Obviously 50% rail, pretty nice stuff. 40% LG as well. He was hitting quite a lot of LG throughout the course of that one. Some of it was definitely impactful. 9 frags, 3 deaths. That is the result there, but it's the bigger picture it puts us into. Both of them now 1 map apiece, and it all comes down to Awoken as the decider. Dramis is on Doomslayer, and we've got Ranger coming out for Nosfa.
Yep, once again, a relatively standard matchup here. I'm a big fan of the Ranger on this map. It was obviously kind of came into the meta slightly later than the Doom, but I think it just provides so much utility. Obviously, Doom is still a very, very strong pick, but on a personal level, I think for someone like Nosfa, Ranger suits his playstyle perfectly. But once again, there isn't really anything to separate them on the pick level. It will all come down to the execution. And it all comes down to, is Nosfa going to show up to play?
That's a big question. I mean, he did it on the last map, so I wouldn't be surprised. He was good on Blood. Let's see if he can just spill some blood when we go into Awoken. The last map between these two, we'll then see who moves on, who gets knocked down into that lower bracket, of course. So still an awful lot riding on this one.
100%, and it's, yeah, as you say, big game. Dramis will take away a lot of confidence from the first map, but Nosfa equally should be feeling just as confident following his performance on the last one.
Here we go then. It truly is the decider, and it will be a brawl to remember. Obviously with the Ranger, you have that Dire Orb, an incredibly useful item for repositioning, but also for how aggressive you can be with it. That's one of the big impact factors that I think a lot of people overlook. Obviously, it can be used essentially as a weapon or to play aggro, not just to reposition. Doom, he's packing that jump pack, so he's going to be using those double jumps. We nearly have a ring out instantly. If that lip wasn't there, I think we might have actually seen Dramis go flying.
He is a fortunate man. Let's hope he can make that fortune count.
If he can try and plunder, get himself a big victory. Dire Orb goes out, but it's a bit of a blunder. That's not going to work out too well for Nosfa. It could have put himself up an elevated angle. Dramis drops down, does get the heavy, but he also comes with a cost, a death wish, it seems, as Nosfa will get the first blood and eliminate him.
Yep, that's fine. And really good. What can you say? Perfect start for Nosfa, just what he needed, I think. As we said, Nosfa is a momentum-based player, and so to get off to a good start is what he needs to run with it, really.
Dramis going towards the middle of the map right now, firing off warning rockets. He will get one tag off with them. Just playing for those smaller items at the minute. Can't really contest for the major items. Also, the timing isn't available to him. Still 8 seconds until we see Mega come up. Did hit the audio cue of a multi-Nosfa stampeding towards him through middle, so tries to massacre him. Tribolt comes through, but it won't really cause too much turmoil into the round. Instead, it will be his railgun excellence, as he'll finish that one with a chef's kiss, Dan.
Yeah, Nosfa slightly out of position. You can see how important it is to manage the mid-ground there, as Dramis was able to isolate the Mega Room and deal immense amount of damage to Nosfa as he tried to bully his way through unsuccessfully at that. And there is, as you said, a big split on these two major items now as Nosfa has got position on the Mega though. Nice rail from Dramis. Good use of the double jump as well.
Ooh. Dramis through the murder hole, taking a cheeky peek and being able to punish, gets that love tap back off towards Nosfa. Left him relatively low, and that could have been his killing blow. Unfortunately for him, did miss, but he's pushing in with it. He's trying to play with this confidence that he's been able to build up. A lot of damage done. Look at the quick switch as well, as he just decks him.
Dramis has found his execution again as Nosfa pushes in very aggressively using that orb, and it does pay off as he comes away absolutely perfectly with that tracking and is still incredibly healthy with 3 seconds to go before the heavy. Dramis is going to try and make a move, and he is ahead of time as Nosfa has misheard where his opponent is. Does hit a nice rail though. Can Dramis get away without facing another one? He can.
All tied, it's all to play for. The course of the game being slowed down slightly, Dramis was offering to just slowly walk his way around and look for an opportunity to sideswipe onto Nosfa. Baiting him with a bounce pad as well, really playing some mind games onto him here to trick him into believing just what he wants as he rotates back around. Went for the pre-fire through the murder hole, knowing that
Nice
Nosfa would be holding towards the heavy. Damn, the shots he's hitting there are so impactful.
Yeah, I mean that rail through the rail area was crucial to stop the advances of Nosfa as he was very healthy coming off you.
Sickeningly good rails that are starting to come out. There's another one as well to add to it. Dramis absolutely on the ball right now. He's going to be sitting pretty with the way he's been playing it. Speed being a strong adversary for him as well, as he's in hot pursuit of Nosfa. Pushes his way back around, starts to tear him down, doing an awful lot of damage, leaving him quite close to his demise. Drops onto him, wanted to finish him with the LG, but instead favors the rocket, goes for the getaway play, and the fadeaway kill nets it.
Incredible. There was so much damage that came out from Nosfa, but Dramis just did enough to get away. You can see the pace coming out from Nosfa as he just rocket jumps up. He misses out on the heavy now, and Dramis is going to get it. He probably will die.
He's evaded him.
But somehow, boogies his way out.
That's ridiculous. He's got smooth moves. Absolutely criminal that he's been able to get away with that one. And now he's doing something quite illegal as well. These shots are not allowed. And time again, he is just ruining Nosfa. Danny's mopping him up like a spilt drink.
We can see Nosfa slightly reverting to the same player or same strategy we saw on Molten, going super aggressive into these mid-range fights on Dramis, and it's not working out. We need to have, again, return to that slightly ranged game, or at least deal more damage before making these aggressive pushes, because at the moment, Dramis has his number.
He's got his number, he's got his home address, he's got everything down. But the way he's playing, he seems to have read him like an absolute book. In cruise control at this point. 5-2 split on the frags. We've got 5 minutes left on the clock, so who knows where this could go from here. Nosfa tries to evade, and right now is basically just running for his life, trying to keep his distance between him and what could very well be his doom.
And Dramis now has perfect positioning, great stack, good rotation on both items, so it is definitely up for Nosfa to try and make something happen, and that's a good start. Nice to see him just spamming and dealing damage from range rather than pushing. Dramis knows exactly where he is. Can he get out? Not cleanly.
All the shots that are being landed by Dramis are just pure filth. Continuing on to do even more damage as well. Leaving Nosfa so very low. Not a lot of stack left. He is going to be really leaving a trail of blood behind him of how much impact Dramis has done. And Dramis is just farming these major items, literally just claiming whatever he wants. He leaves the heavy there as well to mess the timing before he wants to push back over to it and add it to his arsenal. He knows exactly where Nosfa is, and he wants to do something naughty. Comes through the teleporter, and he is a wizard as he makes Nosfa disappear.
The worst thing about all of that is that Nosfa spent the last minute and a half staying alive just to die. So it's more time wasted, more map control lost. And now he's forced into taking a slightly more aggressive play, which hasn't paid out. Dramis should be able to finish him off here if he wants to, but instead Nosfa using that passive very well all game, actually. The lead keeps extending and the time keeps ticking away.
Nosfa, he looks eternally doomed here against Dramis' doom on Awoken. He just cannot get himself into the game. He can't find his stride. Cannot make this one work. Time is rapidly ticking by. Dramis is still ticking, but more all the right boxes for the frags and damage he's been doing. The level of lethality is absolutely unrivaled. Dire Orb initiation for Nosfa, though. And finally, he gets a bit aggressive with it. Gets the uppercut off. Kills Dramis, and still has 2 minutes to try and claim himself back into the game.
That was absolutely perfect. Finally made the initiative, saw his opportunity to get on to the heavy, and exactly what we said, this champion favours Nosfa, gives him the opportunity to close the gap and get into opponents' faces. That's exactly what he did. And now there's plenty of time. 2 minutes, 3 frags is a long time on this map, but when you're taking damage like that, I like that. Rocket jumped across to make sure he wasn't going to be able to be railed.
I mean, he's starting to actually hit a lot more of his shots as well now. And he's taking some quite aggressive faces as well. So you can see the confidence is certainly in the camp of Nosfa. He knows that he's low on time as well. Low on time is starting to become an understatement, actually, Dan. We've only really got a minute left.
Oh, this is the problem. He knows how desperate his situation is, but he's not in a position of strength. So he's trying to figure out what to do, and hitting a rail is pretty much his best option. Be surprised if Dramis gives him any more angles, though, as he comes in for aggression. Nosfa can't afford to commit, because if he gives away a frag, it's definitely over. If the time goes away, it's just as over. So now or never, and it's going to be never.
Yeah, it seems like the questions have been answered, and Nosfa is not going to be able to get himself the victory here. This one is certainly going to be taken away from him, as surely Dramis can't lose this. It would have to be an absolute ridiculous affair. I mean, I don't even know if it would be physically possible at this point. He busts out the fist as he was looking for an uppercut as a final killing blow. No momentum from that, but that is basically the game set in stone.
Yeah, 100%. That was the glory rage from Doom coming out, as he was well aware that he'd won this one and we'll be moving on to the next round. And well deserved once again. I think Nosfa kind of threw away the first game, but at the same time, I was hugely impressed by Dramis' Slash, and as we said, it's not a surprise why so many people ban it out against him. And Nosfa did a great job to regroup mentally, reset, and play an amazing Campgrounds, but it was one stretch too far on the last bump.
Yeah, it was obviously quite a nice series overall. We did see a return to form from Nosfa, at least trying to come back into the game. Dramis looked disgusting on the Slash. I think that just goes without saying. Obviously, for everyone that saw it, it was absolutely ridiculous how impressive he was. Still across the board, though, he did have a lot of the weight. Like, throughout the entire series, he was hitting his shots. He looked good. Obviously, the only game he really did struggle on was the one with the visor.
Yeah, and it wasn't even really anything to do with that. I think it was just the way in which Nosfa adjusted, and I felt that Dramis couldn't really cope with the way in which Nosfa was playing that. I mean, the rail was so powerful, and although Dramis had control, he wasn't able to reset himself and play an effective range game. We saw just at the end, for instance, when he missed 4 or 5 rails in a row. So it was just one of those games where Nosfa outplayed him strategically and in execution. But the other games, as soon as Dramis was able to keep the pace up and play a more personal, closer game, that's when we saw him shine.
Well, catch up, Flea, obviously bringing you boys back in to give your sentiment on this one. Overall, we see Dramis take the victory. What were you guys thinking?
I will be completely honest that what we really saw is kind of exactly what I think everyone was expecting. We knew that two players that are similar in skill were going to go head-to-head. The fact that the kind of final score was close doesn't really surprise me at all. The map result itself is kind of like what everyone really expects, and Dramis being the player that kind of inches that one out, again, it's kind of the expected result. Nothing about this really took me by surprise, to be completely honest.
Yeah, same thing for me. There were definitely a few moments that did stand out in particular though, and I think that the same goes for anyone watching. Those first few minutes on Molten Falls, I was looking at chat and it was nothing but comments of people talking about how insane the movement was on the Slash. I think there were like 6 frags in just over 2 minutes coming out of Dramis. So such an aggressive and powerful display that he repeated at the end on Awoken as well. But I do think that even though what Dan said is entirely correct, he was definitely outplayed on Blood Covenant, I do feel that this kind of does show that Dramis might be a player that's heavily dependent on his freedom of movement and that mobility that he has. And if he doesn't have a champion such as Slash or Doomslayer where he can really position himself to make the most of his aim and his plays, he might be struggling a bit as he did with the visor.
Yeah, no, it definitely seems like it's his mechanical level that gets accelerated so much more when he's on a champion that allows him to play with speed. And I think that is represented here, of course, as what we can see on screen now with the stats.
55% LG. That might just be the highest that we've seen today. So congratulations for that achievement. That's an achievement on its own.
Yeah, no, exactly what Flea said, is that he's somebody that he knows how to take situations and position well, but that is exponentially improved when he has the capability to do it quickly. And that definitely a big learning for him is how to play around his weaknesses when he doesn't have the speed as his advantage.